The following program is being brought to you on the Voice America Variety Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericavariety.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101 with host Susan Bartelstone. We're so happy you've joined us. Over the next hour, you'll learn the tips, tricks, and vital information that'll help you keep yourself confident and safe. Now, here's the host of Crime Prevention 101, Susan Bartelstone.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. Well, you know, it's the middle of December. Christmas and Hanukkah and maybe some other holidays, everything's right around the corner. And I know that no one wants to think about crime and violence now in this special time of peace and renewal. But I want you to hang in there with me because in that spirit of optimism that I promise you on each and every show, I'm going to introduce you to two courageous people tonight, youngsters really, kids who've been victims of terrible crimes that are the stuff of nightmares. But they not only survived, they're healing and thriving now, and they're helping other victims do the same. So whatever your path or situation, I hope tonight's show will give you the encouragement that even if life seems bleak and hopeless, it can turn around. Well, I'm Susan Bartelstone, and you're listening to Crime Prevention 101, coming to you live from the sparkling New York City, the scene of the crime, as I call it, where the weather is crisp and the streets and the shops are twinkling and glowing with holiday decorations. And you know what? I'm feeling that holiday spirit. Despite everything that's happening around me and all the bad things, I've got that spirit. And I can't wait for you to meet my guest. So let's go right away. My first guest tonight, Jamie Isaacs, courageous youngster. She's only 15 years old. She has turned years of torment into something very positive and life-saving. And I want you to meet Jamie and her father, Ron. Jamie and Ron, hello there.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Now, Jamie, tell my audience your story. What happened to you that brought you to the place that you're at today?
Well, I was bullied for 6 years, from the end of second grade to the end of seventh grade, by a group of over 22 kids, both boys and girls. And basically, I was harassed on a daily basis, both in school and out of school, so cyberbullying included. And it got to the point where I had to be pulled out and put into a private college prep school. And then I started the foundation, and that's kind of where I am now.
This bullying started at second grade. How old was that? How old is second?
It was right after my 8th birthday.
8th birthday, and continued for 5 solid years, daily.
Yes.
22. I mean, these are the stories that you hear about that are absolutely horrifying. And Ron, I know, speaking from the family's perspective, what was your reaction about what happened to Jamie, and what avenues did you pursue to try and get help for her?
Well, we tried to pursue a lot of different avenues. We first went to the principal of the elementary school, who had an attitude that was not really conducive to stopping the bullying.
Did they take it seriously?
What's
that?
Did
they take it seriously, what you said? I mean, she was 8 years old. This is incredible that this would start so young.
No, the principal told Jamie that she needed to get a thicker skin, that she needed to learn how to let things roll off, that she had to mend the fence with these kids that were torturing her. And we obviously didn't like that reaction, so we went to the superintendent, and we basically got nowhere.
And what eventually stopped the bullying? Just pulling her out of the school?
Pulling her out of the school. At the time that we pulled her out, she was in a position where she was in the middle school. It had snowballed to a total of 22 kids that were physically harassing her, mentally harassing her. They were throwing food at her in the lunchroom. They were stealing her personal belongings out of her locker. They were breaking into her locker on a daily basis. It was horrific, and it put her in a position where she couldn't even concentrate on her schoolwork because she was too worried about who was going to stab her with a pencil or trip her in the hallway or throw food at her and so on and so forth.
Unbelievable. Jamie, did the teachers see what was going on?
A lot of the teachers were fully aware of what was going on, but none of them, I didn't have any classes with these kids in classes with teachers that actually cared about what was going on. So it was difficult. The teachers didn't have a good grip on the situation.
Now you grew up on Long Island, which is not far from where I am. This is not a bad. This is a relatively affluent district. This is not considered a deprived area, correct?
No, it's not considered a deprived area. It's an area of mixed income. You have white collar, blue collar. You have mixed faiths and religions and backgrounds, and it's a very mixed neighborhood.
And it's not really an area that you would think you would expect this kind of thing to happen, I think. Although that may be a myth, right? I guess there's no place that it can't happen.
Well, this is proof that there's no place that it can't happen because it happened.
Jamie, how did you survive this? This is just unbelievable. We've all heard the horrible, there actually is a word now called bullycide, people that commit suicide as a result of bullying. Why do you think you were able to survive it? And we'll talk about the foundation coming up very shortly.
Well, I was definitely able to survive with the support that I had at home. I always came home and I told my parents everything. So without their support, I wouldn't be where I am today. And they always made sure that I stayed positive. And I'm a pretty positive person in general, so I always knew to look on the brighter side of things. And my parents did a lot, like putting me into extracurricular activities. Like, for example, I've been horseback riding for 8 years, and that's been part of my healing process. So I think that's pretty much why I survived.
All right, now talk about
they also put me into, like, acting and singing and stuff, so that helped me make friends outside of school, which was a big help.
Okay, excellent. I think I've read too that that's so important to do things that raise your self-esteem, because this kind of thing you're tempted to think it's your fault, that you must be doing something to make people hate you, and I think that's extremely important for people to hear. Now, talk about the foundation and how did this come about?
Well, the foundation's been around for a little over a year now. We've helped about, a couple dozen families. And basically how it really got kicked off was when my family and I approached legislator John Cooper about the Suffolk County cyberbullying and cyberstalking law, which would make cyberbullying illegal in Suffolk County. And luckily that law passed, and now I'm working with Senator Jeffrey Klein on the New York State cyberbullying law, which if someone bullies someone over the Internet and the victim commits suicide, the bully is held with second-degree manslaughter charges, third-degree stalking charges, and up to 15 years in prison.
Good.
So, that's a little bit of what I'm doing right now. But the foundation does in-school presentations to raise awareness. We also do camp presentations. And we have a hotline where victims can call in and get advice on the bullying situation. We're always here. It's a 24-hour hotline. And we have our website, which is jifoundation.org. And anyone can send us an email to the website, and we answer immediately. So a lot of times that's a really quick way to get in touch with us and to get a quick response. But our big thing is that we're always here for you, and
I think I read on the website that 8 teens were saved from suicide through the work that you're doing.
8 teens.
That is fantastic. That's amazing. So now, are you doing these programs all over the country or just kind of in the New York area?
Right now I've been doing it in the New York area. We're a pretty local foundation for right now, but we are trying to reach out throughout the whole country because this isn't something that's just going on Long Island. It's going on all over the world. So we want to be able to raise awareness everywhere.
Fantastic. And the hotline, is there a number for the hotline that you can give out?
Yes. Just hold on a moment.
Give us a local number. 605.
And I know it's Jamie Isaacs, ISAACS Foundation.org.
Yes, and Jamie is JAMIE.
JAMIE Foundation.
Yes.
And do people at the new school that you're in know about what happened at the old school?
Yeah, my school is pretty aware. Everyone at my school is pretty aware of what happened to me because I'm pretty open with it. Now the hotline number is 888.
Okay.
936 6285.
6285. All right, and I'm gonna actually post this information in the show notes on my crimeprevention101.com blog, so it'll be there. And I understand that you have a book out or coming out.
Yes, I do.
So talk a little bit about the book.
Well, the book is basically a journey through my life. You really kind of get to grow up with me through the book, and it explains everything that happened to me and my family as well, because bullying has an effect on everyone around you and your surroundings. But it's also a guide for bullied victims, and it's good for anyone, really, a victim, a bully, a school official, a parent. It can help anyone and give them the proper tools to help them see the warning signs of being bullied or what to do if you are being bullied. And it's also kind of a symbol of hope to show that you can live through this epidemic.
Fantastic. And Ron, do you have any advice for parents whose child might be bullying victim? What would you tell them to do?
Well, the number one thing is to really try to stay connected with your kids, because not all kids are going to want to tell their parents about what's going on in school. So it's important that they should look for the warning signs. And it's pretty obvious what the warning signs would be. But if parents don't know what to look for and they need advice and they think there may be an issue with their kid, they can always call the hotline. They could reach out to us through the website. The website is a fantastic tool for parents. It's a resource. It's a way for them to get to know what's going on if they don't know the warning signs.
That's extremely important. You can't say it enough. You've got to be monitoring what's going on with your children and encouraging them to talk to you. And, Jamie, what's the name of the book again? We're going to get the book. Parents, get that book.
It's called In Jamie's Words.
In Jamie's Words. Is it on Amazon or?
Right now you can pre-order it at houndcomics.com, which is a publishing company.
Okay.
And it will be on barnesandnoble.com as of the 31st of this month, and Amazon.com will follow.
Oh, excellent. So like an after-Christmas present.
Right. We were trying to get the book out before Christmas, but just like any project, last-minute changes and
perfection.
Noticing things that you think should change. It always pushes things back just a little bit. So we were hoping for December 1st, but we're getting December 31st. So.
Okay. Well, listen. You know what? It's almost the new year. So what can we expect from you, Jamie, and from the foundation? Anything coming down the pike that you want to talk about a little bit?
Well, Jamie's actually in a documentary about bullying that's called Bully Side, The Voice of Complicity. And that's going to be coming out soon. You can see the trailer on our website. It's a documentary about victims and bullies and the effects. And Jamie was chosen by this production company, My 2 Cents Media, to be the kind of the center of this documentary. And you get a real look into the effects that it has on a family, the way that kids are affected, and so on and so forth. So that's definitely something to look for coming up in 2012. Of course, the release of her book. Jamie will be doing in-school presentations. She spoke at the UN this year. We're planning on having her do that next year also through the Alley Cats.
And I'll be scheduling book signings.
Book signings will be coming up in the new year.
And bring your kids to this book signing so that they can talk to Jamie, because this is really tremendous. And how can we do anything to help get some of these laws passed?
Well,
because I want to see this outlawed as well as you.
The biggest thing in New York State right now, Jamie's working with the Nassau County Legislature to pass the Nassau County cyberbullying law, which will be a local law like it is in Suffolk County that she helped to write and to pass. So now we're trying to do it on the state level. So if you're in New York State, call your local senator, your New York State senator, your local senator. Voice your opinion. If you're in favor of the bill, ask them to vote yes to pass it. Jamie will be introducing the bill in front of the New York State Legislature at the opening of the next session in the beginning of January. So definitely the way you could help pass laws and help to put a stop to this is by reaching out to your local lawmakers, whether it be county legislators or senators from New York State.
Good, and I'd like to see this in every county, because this has got to stop. Well, Jamie and Ron, thank you so much for being with me tonight. Jamie, such an inspiration, especially for other bullying victims. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, everyone, make sure to check out In Jamie's Words, her new book, The Jamie Isaacs Foundation for Anti-Bullying. All right, so when we come back, I've got some tips for you and another courageous young woman. Stay tuned.
Ask the experts. Call toll-free right now, 1-866-472-5787. And ask our all-star team to answer your question. That's 1-866-472-5787.
Thank you for calling.
VoiceAmerica.com.
Protect yourself and your family with MyForce, a personal security service accessed through a smartphone app that acts as your dedicated safety escort. The one-touch alert connects to a live monitoring team that provides the authorities with crucial details to expedite help. MyForce provides emergency response with the user's exact location, physical description, known safety issues, and medical conditions. MyForce offers monthly subscriptions at $11.99 per month, or save with the annual plan of $119 a year. As a listener of Crime Prevention 101, receive $20 off an annual subscription by using promo code CP101. Visit myforce.com today.
Violence, theft, drugs, graffiti, it's all part of joining a gang. In times like these, we need to protect our kids and our community from gangs. Gangs often prey on teens with low self-esteem who perform poorly in school and who seek a sense of belonging. Protect kids from gangs. Know who they're hanging out with. Encourage them to become involved in school activities. Give kids a positive alternative to gangs. To learn more, visit ncpc.org or contact your local law enforcement agency.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
Streaming live. The leader in Internet talk radio. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Hello again. Yes, it's Susan Bartelstone here, and this is Crime Prevention 101, where we have an optimistic perspective on a very sober subject. Before I bring my next guest on, I've got a quick travel tip because people have been emailing me. This is the traveling season, so I want you all to be safe when you're traveling. Here's something most people don't think about. You know, in addition to putting those TSA-approved locks, you know, on your luggage, add an inexpensive self-locking plastic tie to the zipper pulls, too. And you can pick these up at any office supply stores, hardware stores. They're very difficult to break without cutting. You can't just rip them. And there's a good reason for this. The more safety measures you take, the less likely thieves will target your bags. But also, a broken tie will alert you and security personnel that someone has been inside your luggage. And you really want to know that, and you can report it right away. And I've got more tips for you on my crimeprevention101.com blog. Don't forget to check me out on Twitter. It's at crimeprevent101. And I'm on Facebook, too, Susan Bartelstone. All right, now you're going to meet another courageous and inspiring young woman. In January 2002, Alicia Kozakiewicz, I think I didn't pronounce that right, but Kozakiewicz, who was then 13 years old, became the victim of an internet luring. And what happened next is the stuff of every girl's and every parent's nightmares. And you just have to hear the story. Welcome, Alicia.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. Now, Alicia, let's start at the beginning. What happened to you in 2002? You were 13 at the time.
Yes, actually, this will be the 10-year anniversary. On January 1st, 2002, I was lured from my home by an internet predator. He had groomed me for 8 months, and I had trusted him enough to walk out my front door just to say hi. And
can I stop you? When you talk about grooming, this is important for people to understand what was involved in this grooming process. So I want everyone to be able to recognize.
Grooming is very simple. Grooming is just befriending with false pretenses. It's pretending to be a friend, and how hard is that to do online? I mean, really, how many people have Facebook friends? And yay, it's your birthday, happy birthday, now we're friends. It's so easy, and especially to a child, because all you have to do is always be on their side no matter what. You didn't clean the room. Okay. You're a good kid. Your mom's terrible because she's making you clean the room. You got a bad grade. Your teacher's dumb. You've been in a fight with friends. Your friends are really mean. I'm your real friend. And that is what he did for 8 months. He lured me to trust him, and then he lured me out my front door to meet him and took me to his home in Virginia, where he held me captive in his basement dungeon for 4 days, where I was raped and beaten and tortured. And luckily, on the 4th day, when he looked at me and he said, "Alicia, I'm beginning to like you too much. Tonight we're going to go for a ride," that was the day that the FBI busted in and they rescued me, and it was an absolute miracle.
How did they actually find you? This was kind of a fluke, I think, how they tracked it down.
Sort of. So before he had me, he had been talking to another man online about abducting a young girl. And to this man in Florida, from what I understand, he wasn't a hands-on offender. It was all fantasy. He hadn't taken the step to make it real. And once the man who abducted me had me, he broadcasted images and videos of me being abused to his friends. And this man became very worrisome that he was going to be an accomplice in a murder, and he called the FBI. And they were able to track down his IP address from this man's phone call, from one monster coming forward about another.
Unbelievable. And you didn't know that he was a 38-year-old man at first, right? I was reading a little bit.
No, I believe that he was somebody my age, and that's something very hard to understand. Age is really nothing online to many people. It's personalities. It's a meeting of the minds. And that's how many kids see it. Many kids feel so mature and above all the other kids in their class that they kind of want to talk to adults because they feel that adults understand them, especially when a certain adult is pretending to.
Mm-hmm. And this is just an absolutely terrible, horrifying experience. But 10 years, you're doing well today. You are thriving and surviving.
I am. I like that.
Can you talk a little bit about how you think you accomplished this? What did you do to make it to get you where you are today? And we're going to talk about the things that you're doing to help others too.
It certainly wasn't easy. It was very difficult. It still is very difficult. Sometimes it's just struggle to do anything. But I had my family. I had very strong support. And it's so important to know that it's okay to hurt after something like this. It's okay to have a nervous breakdown and fall apart and have to build yourself up again. Everybody handles something like this differently, and it takes a long time to heal. I say in my Congress testimony that I had been rescued, but I don't know if I'll ever fully be recovered. I'm still being recovered. My soul, who I was, is still being recovered. That man, he, in essence, murdered that little girl, and I've become somebody completely different. I've entered a new normal, a new life.
Mm-hmm. That's what we usually talk about. You'll never forget a traumatic event, but you can put it in perspective, and you can pick up the pieces, and that's what you're doing, obviously, now. So I congratulate you.
Right, and with that miracle of my rescue, as I said, it was a miracle. Not many children get that chance. I've realized that I need to do something. I need to give back. I was rescued for a reason, and I started to go into schools in 2004 to speak to children about Internet safety and how to keep themselves safe online and share my story with them. And I took a break because SATs were not easy. And in college picked it back up again, and that's where it really took off, and People magazine caught interest in several talk shows, and it really grew into something quite huge. It was really God or a higher power kind of led it seems, to where it needs to be.
We're going to talk about some of the things that people can do to prevent this thing happening to them or to their children, but I want to talk about some of the projects. You're involved with a number of projects. Now, I know that you've been collaborating with some very special people for other young victims on something called You Are Not Alone. So talk a little bit about that.
You're Not Alone, The Journey from Abduction to Empowerment was a book I co-authored with 4 other people several years ago. It's a wonderful book. You can find it online by just Googling that, and it's free. There's an ebook, and it's wonderful because it shows from so many different perspectives, so many walks of life, parental kidnapping, stranger kidnapping, internet predators. It really shows you how to cope with something like this from completely different people who handled it very differently. And it's a really wonderful book, and I don't think it's just for abduction survivors. I think you can put it to any trauma survivor, how to cope with anything, because coping, no matter what the issue, is generally still the same.
Oh, absolutely. It's called You Are Not Alone. I'm going to put a link to it, I think, on my show notes for the show. That's one of the things that I think, let's get our Christmas list out here. I think we'll put down You Are Not Alone on there. That's something that you might want to pick up. Now, you also have done a PSA.
Yes.
You and Elizabeth Smart. And I'm going to talk a little about that.
Over the years, I began working on something with the National Association to Protect Children called the Protect Our Children Online Act of 2008, and I testified before Congress for it. It passed. The problem is when things aren't funded, they aren't effective. And that was something very hard for me to realize, that so many wonderful laws are passed, but it doesn't matter if there's nothing backing them. And Alicia's law is a part of that. It is the stateside version of the Protect Our Children Online Act of 2008. Alicia's law funds the Internet Crimes Against Children task forces. Right now, they're only able to investigate cases like mine at 2%. We know we're nearly Yes.
Super.
We know where nearly 1 million predators are trading in graphic, sadistic child pornography. Nearly 1 million. 1 out of 3 of those, statistically, is a hands-on offender with a child in the home. That's 300,000 children that we know right now that we can save. But the boots on the ground, the funding, the resources are not available. And that is where Not One More Child and Child Rescue Emergency steps in. We are trying to get a state of emergency called in order to rescue these children, to have governors and the president cut through the red tape so that we are able to put first responders and all our resources to rescuing these children. These are children who may, yes, be kidnapped like I was, but they're often children being abused by their parents or by people that they trust in their very home, and we aren't doing anything about it. If you go to notonemorechild.org, there is a letter. You don't have to write it, which is kind of nice, but you just fill in your information and it will send it on to the president and to your state governor, as well as if you go to facebook.com/Alicia Project and search around a bit. I'll put it up there so it's easy to find, but there is a petition you can sign to get this ball rolling. This is so important. These are children's lives at stake. Michelle Obama was on the cover of Reader's Digest this month, December 2011 and January 2012. And on the cover, it says, "Everything we do must be for our children." And she's not backing that up. These are our children. These are our valuable resources. This needs to be backed up. These children need to be saved. We can't leave them to suffer. We can all be heroes. We can bring them home and we can give them the miracle that I received.
And is this going to be is this a federal fund that you're trying to get money for, or how would this work? Is this through the FBI?
The Protect Our Children Online Act was federal. Alicia's law is state and local. The Not One More Child is calling a state of emergency, which means that we put all resources. States of emergency have been called for gray wolves in Idaho, for gas prices, for the first child who had swine flu. Not that those aren't all very important issues. Gas prices are very important. But our children, are they not important? We're leaving them to suffer. And this is such a huge thing in the media right now with the Penn State debacle, which is my hometown. I'm from Pennsylvania. And it really brought all of this to light, which is wonderful. People are paying attention. But the important thing to remember about the Penn State incident is that's just a small piece. In Pennsylvania right now, we know where 22,606 predators are trafficking graphic, sadistic child pornography. And they're not being investigated. We know where they are. If you go to Not One More Child, there is a video including a map, and the way that they're able to track them is through Roundup, which is a program that allows them to track IP addresses of predators trading in these images and in these videos. Just like I was rescued from the monster, through his IP address.
I saw that map, and so you're saying that we could actually go and round these people up.
Yes.
You know where they are.
And 1 out of 3 of them have homes. When you look at that map, it's also very important to know that each red dot, which to me stands for the blood of the children, but each red dot actually signifies about 200 predators. It's a cluster. And you look at that and you can see it's covering the map.
Yes,
How is
it
that
is. That's
being
very
ignored?
scary.
It's terrifying. And we have a chance to change this. We have a chance to save children from the Sandusky's and from the monsters of the world.
All right, Alicia, we're coming up on a quick break. Stick around with me. When we come back, I want to talk more about the Alicia Project and how to prevent internet luring and what happened to you. We will be right back.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.crimeprevention101.com for more information.
You're walking alone. A group of people is hanging out just ahead. Suddenly, they surround you.
Hey, yo, where you going? Come here.
Before you know it, you're being robbed. It's called a pack robbery, a robbery involving a group of assailants, and it can be violent. In times like these, trust your instincts. Don't become their next victim. Avoid suspicious groups. Avoid desolate or poorly lighted areas. Be aware of your surroundings. To learn more about pack robberies, visit ncpc.org or contact your local law enforcement agency.
A message from the U.S. Department of Justice, National Crime Prevention Council, and the Ad Council.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Yes, this is Crime Prevention 101 and Susan Bartelstone here. And don't forget that we are on iTunes. You can take us with you wherever you go. Another quick travel tip. People ask me, they're nervous about terrorist attacks when they're traveling. It's better to stay, if you're nervous, if you're staying in an area of concern, it might be better to stay at a small local hotel rather than a large chain hotel. Because terrorists like to make big statements and involve a lot of people in actions they take. And small hotels with fewer tourists are less likely to be targeted. And I've got more tips for you on crimeprevention101.com. Now, I want to talk more about online predators with Alicia Kozakiewicz and what we can do regarding legislation and some tips for you. Welcome back, Alicia. All right, so talk a little more about the Alicia Project and how we can find it and what you're offering there.
The Alicia Project, we go into schools and we speak to students. Well, I speak. My mother does speak to parents, and she often interrupts me to speak to kids. But we speak to kids on a really realistic level. I've been doing it since 2004, and I've noticed kids have become far more internet savvy than just a few years ago, and you really need to speak to them again on a realistic level. But we go into schools, we talk to kids about how to stay safe online and what can happen if they're not careful, and try to impress upon them that this is a real issue. The way that I end most of my speeches to children is that, I didn't come shipped in from another country, I'm not from a fairy tale, this is real life. And often we don't feel that something could happen to us until it does, or it happens to a friend of ours. So let me be that friend standing here today that this happened to. Let this be real, because this can be you. I was a normal, average kid. I was just a kid, and this happened to me. And if it can happen to me, it can certainly happen to you. And listeners, it can happen to your children. It happens to the good kids often, because the good kids are the ones who are curious, who want the answers, who are a little shy, and who do spend a lot of time online for that reason.
And when you're 13, you've certainly, all kids have heard, there's bad people out there, but unless you've had some firsthand experience with it, it doesn't mean that much. I think they're so naive at that age.
Oh no, and it's been very difficult for me to talk to kids. This has been a very weird task, but to differentiate between horror movies of today and my story. I've actually had kids say, "Oh, like in Saw." And I realized, oh, wait a minute, you watched that movie to entertain you, but I'm telling you my story and it's supposed to scare you. And it's been kind of a difficult task, and I find that really sad. I have to find a way to make my story not titillating like a horror movie, and it's certainly not. It's a terrifying, horrible story, and I'm very lucky today to be alive, and so many children aren't getting that chance. They're dead.
No, that's absolutely true. What are some of the things that you tell kids to do, to watch out for?
Red flags in grooming. Really don't talk to strangers online. And I know that's a very difficult thing because strangers.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's very hard to define because I know this guy's dog. I know this guy. I've seen him on camera. Whatever. It's very. You're a stranger, right? And if we hung out, we would be friends. That's how it works. Otherwise, nobody would have any friends in the world. And the kids, their entire world is their social networking online. But to really impress upon them that you don't need to talk to people online, that how I ended up in that situation was I talked to people that I knew from school who introduced me to somebody from another school to another school to another school until I was talking to people I didn't know, and we felt all very connected. And then that person actually introduced me to the man who would become my abductor. And also
didn't know who that person was, right? It was just another friend on the internet.
Right. And that kids really need to be careful about what they put as their screen name and what they post. Internet predators are very terrifying, but it's also pretty terrifying to think that you may not get into that job or you may not get into that school because of what you post today. And also with sexting, you are creating child pornography. You could end up on a sex offender registry, and it could ruin your life. And kids always, 14 years like, oh, my life is ruined, but your life could really end up not being very good. And with
those
bullying,
who are not sure about sexting, what sexting is, right?
Sexting, yes. Sexting is when you send sexual type messages to people through a phone or through your computer. Generally, it's done on the phone, such as text messaging, but there are sex messages, and often they include photographs of the kids. Kids feel pressured to send nude photographs of themselves to their boyfriend or their girlfriend, and then those tend to get passed around school, and then it leads into a true case of cyberbullying, as well as possibly ending up on the sex offender registry because you have created and disseminated child porn. Even though it is your body and you are underage, you are still creating child porn.
And is that how, in a way that these predators target people because they might see provocative pictures or just pictures that you post a picture that you like and they find that picture attractive? Is that how they do it? They kind of sort of skim around the net looking for these things?
It can certainly happen. For example, and I found this terrifying, I found this out in just the last year, that if you go into your phone and you take a photo, if you have a smartphone, there's usually something called geotagging on it. Mm-hmm. And that actually puts the location that you are in that picture on your phone, and people can access that. And I was in the middle of New York City. I was at, where was I? Zabar's, actually, having lunch, and I took a photo, and I left, and I wanted to see if it would show me where I was, and it showed me exactly where I was at Zabar's. And parents are posting these pictures, and kids are posting pictures of very innocent photos of their kid in the bedroom or at the park, and a predator is actually able to pinpoint exactly where they were playing in the park, their bedroom, where they go to school, and they can so easily grasp your child. Now, you can go into your phone. If you do not know how to do this, please call your service provider, but you can go into your phone and you can turn that off, and I suggest every single person does because I don't see the reason for it anyway unless you're trying to be stalked.
Exactly, and it's called geotagging.
Geotagging, yes.
Geotagging, right, yeah, absolutely. Parents, write this down. Immediately disable any geotagging that's on your kids' phones and your computer, too, right?
It's generally just from phones.
Only from phones? Okay.
And iPads and mobile devices.
Mobile devices. Okay. What suggestions do you give to parents so that they can look after their kids more effectively?
Parents, it's so important to remember that you are the parent. A lot of times, parents are just trying to be friends with their kids, and while that's all and good, you have to remember that your job is to keep your child alive. And they're mad at you for something all the time anyways, so they might as well be mad at you for trying to keep them alive. And I always suggest that parents put a safety monitor on the computer which monitors their child's activity every step of the way. Now, you do not tell your child it is on there, and some parents may find this sneaky. So what? You're trying to protect your child. It may be privacy invasive, but you're not going to allow them to have a drink or drive the car underage. Why are you going to allow them to have the entire world in front of them on the computer without monitoring what they are doing? And if you get on there and you find something you don't like, say your daughter went to the party she wasn't supposed to, you don't have to call her out on that, at least not directly. You can find some kind of sneaky way to do it. But you have to pick your battles. If you find that your child is talking to an internet predator, then you have a roadmap to where they are. If they decide to leave with this person, or if you truly feel they are a threat, you can call authorities very easily because you have the evidence before you.
So you do recommend that parents monitor the child's friends and who they're texting and so forth?
Yes, and on the computer. I'm not going to give any of the products, but there are several, there's many now, under the registry monitors for the computer which track every single keystroke. And I've actually had parents come up to me and say, oh, I can't put that on there because my husband won't be able to look at his dirty websites. And it's really sad. That was so disheartening that was more important than their child's safety.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, please. There isn't anything more important than that. Parents, wake up if you're sleeping, okay? I get on my high horse, too, so don't worry about that. I'm a crusader. And I believe you should know everything that your child is doing. What you said is so important, just don't call them out in a way that belittles them. Allow them to open up to you about things. Communication.
It's so important, the open line of communication. And make sure your kids know that it's okay to tell, that they're not going to get in trouble. One of my questions that I ask the kids is if you run into a dirty website completely against your will, it just pops up, or hey, you were looking for it, but you want it to go away and it won't, would you tell your parents? And most of them say no. And I say, why? And almost always every single kid says because I would get in trouble. And I find that the first time I heard that, I almost cried, because why would you get in trouble for being honest with your parents? Why do kids feel this way? When they didn't do anything wrong, when it was an accident, or they're owning up to a mistake. Kids make mistakes, and that's okay. We're supposed to. Sexual curiosity is a normal thing, but we need to remember that it's normal and treat it in a way that doesn't, as you said, belittle the child.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, all right, so now we've got the AliciaProject.org. We've got Not One More Child. We want to get that petition signed. We want to get these pornographers and predators put behind bars. What else can we do to help you? What are your future plans?
A really great place to go for those of you who have Facebook. I found that a Facebook page, it's called a fan page, which I don't like very much, but a fan page, you can have an open dialogue with people. You can write back and forth, and they can post things, and it's really great. It's an interactive web page, sort of. I have one. It's facebook.com/Alicia Project. And you can go there and follow along with everything that we're doing, and I post things daily on what you can do and different articles and missing children that we could help save.
Okay, so it's facebook.com. What's the URL again?
Facebook.com/Alicia Project, ALICIA, and then the word project.
Alicia Project. Okay, that's great. And I want you to send me a link for the petition so that I can put that out on my pages, because I've got a page too. I'm on Facebook. And it is scary because there are almost 5,000 people now that are following me and sending me messages, and I'm an adult and it's scary for me.
It is
Anything
scary.
else quickly coming up that we should know about? You're going to be in and making any appearances that we can watch you in?
There are a few things in the works. Nothing is solidified, but they will be on that Facebook page. So yeah.
All right, and check. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Just check out that PSA. It's amazing. It's powerful. Elizabeth Smart and Alicia, well, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I know that thousands and thousands of people are learning from your experience, and I thank you so much for sharing.
Just hit the 1. It's all worth it. And thank you guys so much for listening. I commend you for paying attention for your children.
My pleasure, Alicia. All right. Now, when we come back, I've got some great holiday gift suggestions with a crime prevention point of view for those of you who wait till the last minute, like I do, to shop. Stay tuned.
Talk, talk, talk. That's all we do is talk. If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. That's it. VoiceAmerica.com.
Protect yourself and your family with MyForce, a personal security service accessed through a smartphone app that acts as your dedicated safety escort. The one-touch alert connects to a live monitoring team that provides the authorities with crucial details to expedite help. MyForce provides emergency response with the user's exact location, physical description, known safety issues, and medical conditions. MyForce offers monthly subscriptions at $11.99 per month, or save with the annual plan of $119 a year. As a listener of Crime Prevention 101, receive $20 off an annual subscription by using promo code CP101. Visit myforce.com today.
Streaming live. The leader in Internet talk radio. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now, back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
And there is no place else that Susan Bartelstone would rather be than right here with you on Crime Prevention 101. Okay, one more travel tip for you. Make a safety plan for dangerous situations beforehand so that you can act quickly in an emergency. Kind of make a list of what you think are possible emergency situations and sit down and plan it. For example, you want to determine an escape route from your hotel or from tourist sites when you visit. Pack flashlights, batteries, cell chargers, anything that you think you might need in case of an attack. Those are the kind of plans you want to make. I got lots more travel safety tips. Check out crimeprevention101.com. And I'm going to post them on Twitter, which is crimeprevent101, or my Susan Bartelstone Facebook page. And I'm going to go through my 5,000 friends. What a show tonight. My God. Jamie Isaac's amazing. She's only 14, 15. And Alicia, the Alicia Project. This is I just can't how grateful I am that I can bring these wonderful people to you. All right, I want you to make sure you get all your Christmas shopping done. Got some great personal safety products, and I just want to tell you that I have no connection with any of the manufacturers of any of the products that I'm going to tell you about. These are products that I found or products that people told me about or sent me that I liked and that I would buy for myself and for my family and friends. And since I consider you my friends, I want to tell you all about them because I think that they're going to keep you safe. First thing that crossed my desk, the Crime Museum, and I've had them on as a guest, and this is crimemuseum.org. They have a wonderful shop with some really fun and unique gifts. They have fake mustaches. They have crime scene bandages, crime scene tapes. They have a deluxe fingerprint kit for the kids, $12.95. I thought that was great. I love that. In fact, I'm going to get that for me. Forget for my young friends. They have a police light that you can pop on your car. Evidently, $12.95. They have a pad of fake parking tickets. I'm just wondering if that's such a good idea. Okay, now this I love. They have political toilet paper. They have donkey toilet paper or elephant toilet paper, $5.95 rolls. So if you don't like a particular candidate, get the toilet paper and you know what you can do with it. We've got a pen with invisible spy ink, $9.95. All sorts of T-shirts and mugs with criminals' pictures. So this is the crimemuseum.org, and they click on their shop, their gift shop. Another thing that you might want to get, and this is something you might want to pack when you travel. I mentioned it before on some of the shows. It's called the storm whistle. And this is the loudest whistle in existence, is what they say. It's got a lot of applications, and it's stormwhistle.com, I think is the website. It's about $7. And the other thing you can do with a whistle is you can blow it in if you're being attacked, blow it in somebody's ear, break the eardrum. So it functions as a weapon as well. And if someone is chasing you, just get out that whistle. For those of you that have a bit of a macabre sense of humor, Bone Chiller's Ice Cube Tray, Bloodbath Shower Curtain, this is $19.99, and Death Mints comes in a coffin. This is perpetualkid.com, www.perpetualkid.com. They've got some very gory little products there. I mentioned the Bully Block app. Take a look at that. It's Bully Block, cyberbully.app.com. You block the phone from bullies. Don't forget that there's the wonderful documentary film about domestic violence, powerandcontrol.com. That would also make a good present. And I want to remind you about the Life Shield wireless monitored home security system. If you've got, it does all kinds of things. It lets you know who comes in and out of the house. If you've got an elderly person, maybe someone with dementia, it's lifeshield.com. It does a lot of things. All right, you know what? That's a wrap for tonight. Please don't forget, we always love to hear from you. Post your comments and suggestions on my blog. Let me know if you like books we talk about, or if you like any of the personal safety products that I tell you about, crimeprevention101.com. You can email me, solutions@fightsafe.com. Also, tell your friends about us so that they can be part of the movement too. And you know what? You and I are going to be doing this again next week, same time, same internet. It'll be a crime not to listen. So stay tuned, stay safe, and I wish everybody a very happy holiday, whatever it is that you're celebrating. Bye now.
We hope you got some useful information and inspiration this week on Crime Prevention 101. Susan Bartelstone invites you to join us again next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on Voice America. If you want to learn more about Susan's guests, sign up for her newsletter, or find out about upcoming teleseminars and workshops, go to www.crimeprevention101.com today. Have a great week and a safe week.